I was curious about, so I know Drew is a big proponent of GMOs. That's my understanding. I haven't listened to his programming before, but
shame on you. You should do that.
Well, I was curious about, so I know on the ACA's website they say, we're not communists, but I'm definitely a communist atheist, and I am very concerned with GMOs insofar as they exist in the intellectual property rights regime that we have in this world. And I think it's, while I definitely think that there's a lot of material possibility for GMOs, I am concerned that there are a lot of, the industry promoting it has a lot of extortionary practices in order to promote the particular strands that they own to the exclusion of what I call like heritage strands, right? Those are, if you think about it, those are GMOs that we developed over thousands of years of, an older genetic modification process, but is, like it's sort of an open source genetic modification. And so I'd like to hear, that was a really long question, but I just want to hear Drew's thoughts about IPO as it relates to GMOs and sort of like the justice component of that.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. The main thing,
I've got nothing, man.
The main clarification that I'll give is that one of the reasons why I say, I'm genetically modified skeptic, I get into that and I talk about GMOs. If you watch one of my really early on videos, the main objections that I usually see to GMOs are not as well thought out as yours are. And I commend you on having, a real concern about it. Because the main concerns that I see are, well, we genetically modified this corn to have a certain enzyme on it that wards off fungus, and it came from a certain bacteria.
I definitely get that you encounter that the most.
Yeah, so that's what happens the most. It's not going to turn you into a living bacteria. You're not going to have corn in your digestive tract for 20 years. If you eat a genetically modified fish, you're not going to turn scaly. That's the main thing that I really talk about. It's really the way out there woo, because ultimately I think what you're talking about, it's a political, it's an economic, and it's kind of a public policy type question. And I don't get so much into politics and economics because that's not something I'm super experienced in. Where I usually leave it is I am in favor of being able to use every tool that science gives us, use it to its fullest potential and not be running away from something. Don't let fear control us. Like, just because, yes, there is some kind of genetic modification to this corn that was taken from bacteria so that we don't have to worry about pests, just because of that, we don't need to hear, oh my God, Frankenfood, this is horrible, we're all gonna die, the government's out to get us. That's what I'm trying to keep people away from a fear-based culture. And so I understand your objection, but I do want to clarify, I'm probably not the best person to speak on that, and that's why I don't. But I do appreciate you bringing that up, because talking about intellectual property issues and talking about monoculture, talking about all the economic issues that come along with it, those are great, and I'll just tell you, you are miles beyond in the conversation than those who I usually deal with. So imagine—
Secondary question?
Do we have a moment? I think we're just about at time.
Yes, if you want to, I'm going to give you to the last.
If we can make it quick, just quick, yeah.
Yeah. So, quick secondary question is: I recently saw evidence that Roundup is a lot more dangerous than people might have previously thought, and so I was wondering if you had any thoughts about Roundup Ready crops in specific. If indeed it is the case that Roundup exposure is much more dangerous than we thought.
Yeah, well, I would have to, actually see the research based on that, and until I see that, I have to say I'm agnostic about the entire issue, because it's not really honest of me to. I'm sure you understand. It's not honest of me to say, oh yeah, no, I think that's BS, or think, oh yeah, no, it's totally true. I don't know. So if you want to actually send me a link, I don't know if you're on Twitter. I'm at GM_skeptic. on Twitter. If you want to shoot me a link with the research, I'd love to look at it because I'm totally open to saying, yeah, maybe Roundup is a lot more harmful than we actually thought. I'm not convinced that it's particularly harmful in the amount that we're using at the moment, but if I saw evidence to the contrary, I would love to, because that's something I would even address on my channel.
Yeah, and I definitely think that there's a lot of things we can do with GMO that are going to be really positive, especially if we can have them under like a public domain kind of intellectual property regime. So
I think we're a lot closer to the same page than those who I usually deal with on my channel. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Man. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear if you do a video on it. I'd love to watch it.
Awesome. Well, I'm GM Skeptic, or Genetically Modified Skeptic, on YouTube, and there's my Twitter handle on the screen at the moment. So if you want to interact with me on this further, I would love to chat with you via Twitter.
All right.
All right, Andrew, thank you for calling in.